Hello. G'day, Owen here with more Orc projects. Things look a little different this time. I've got a different camera. Traditionally you'd say I've bought a better camera. I've bought a worse camera. It saves me from bringing the good camera home from work all the time. Also, I'm filming on the dining table instead of in the kitchen. Just trying something different out. You can't really tell. There's a tiny corner here where you might see brown surface instead of white. Who cares? Also, I've got a new spinny thing. It's exactly the same as the previous spinny thing. It's a cake decorating stand from Aldi. They're really handy for painting things on and showing things off on. So now I've got one for painting on and one for showing things off on. Anyway, Killa cans. These are Iron Squig pattern Killa cans. My blog had instructions on how to build these last year, probably around this time. I can't really remember what it was about now. And I have been rummaging through stuff. I had another idea that I'll show you later. And I was rummaging around looking for parts for it, and I realised I had parts for a whole lot of extra Killa cans, so I thought it was time to build them. So I built some Iron Squig pattern Killa cans. So I had 3 complete Killa can kits and some partials. So I built these 3 Killa cans up in Iron Squig pattern. So in order, we have the Orc apparatus of Qualish, generic Iron Squig Killa can, and Big Toothy Iron Squig Killa can. They don't really have names, just the Orc apparatus of Qualish has a name because I thought it was funny. So they are made almost entirely from standard Killa can parts. There are a few bits and pieces from other kits on there, but it's mostly all just Killa can. But of course you lie the Killa can down, you put the legs on differently, you don't stick on arms. For my other ones, they all have big close combat weapon arms sticking out the front. These ones I went with the big jaws and the crazy claw array on the Orc apparatus of Qualish. I already have 2 Killa cans with custom mega blasters and 1 with big shooter, so I've decided to round it out. I've got 1 more with big shooter here and 2 with the Grotzukas because I thought they were cool, and of course I had the parts, just the stock parts. The idea of course is that the Iron Squig pattern Killa can is not actually a grot in there, it's a robot, and I've added things like some periscopes onto these 2 so that, probably can't see that, there we go, periscope onto those 2 for a bit of better vision, big close combat weapon jaws at the front and so forth. There's a few plastic hard parts, some bass guitar strings, that kind of thing, and balsa wood used to bulk up the bases, but otherwise basically just stuff from Killa cans. Now, I said earlier I found the pieces while I was looking for something, parts for an idea I've had. What is this idea, you ask? Well, may you ask. Bamf! What strange madness is this, I hear you cry, and why is it held together with hot pink blue tack? Well, the hot pink blue tack is because it's the only blue tack I could find, but this is a bit difficult. This is not a Killa can. It doesn't really match anything in the Orc army. At the moment, it's a bit of a counter. So, this is my new mech boy on his war bike. Yes, it doesn't look much like a war bike, but that's the closest I could find to it counting as something. So I saw this picture online that someone had drawn of a Orc war boss riding around on a mechanic robot squig, and I thought that was cool. But I didn't really need another war boss, so I decided to make a big mech instead. So this is my big mech, made from a knob and various things. We'll have a look at him. And this is his war bike. Except of course it's a mechanical squig, because it's the best I could think of for something for it to count as. So at the moment, not a huge amount's been done on this yet. We have various gubbins in the front, sort of face and eye region. A little difficult to actually see under there on this angle. I've got the 2 Daka cannons, and around the back we have legs. They're actually arms from dreadnoughts and Killa cans. It's the same. One's from a Killa can, one's from a dreadnought. They're basically the same. And there's a truck engine in there, because of course I have a whole bunch of spare trucks from my esteemed opponent, Mad Juzzy the Flautist, when he gave me all of his stuff. And I don't really have a use for truck kits, so I've just been looting them. And the rest is basically just plastic card, but there's going to be a lot more detail added to this. It's going to have a big jaw at the front. It's also going to have Windhazork style fins out the back like my bikes do. It will probably have some sort of custom force field thing going on there. It will have a lot more detail, and probably a grot oiler standing on there somewhere. I've got the figures, I just have to work out exactly where they're going to go, and I've got to work out how the rest of the thing's going together. Well, let's just break this up into pieces and have a look at some specifics. Bamf! So, upside down, because it's easier to see things. This is the main body. We've got some plastic tubes. These are actually little stickers for scrapbooking. They're sort of little self-adhesive pearl bead kind of things. They actually come in sizes that nest perfectly inside plastic card tubes, so very cool for making lenses. There's some gubbins from various things and some rivets. I haven't really gotten very far on this. I've built the basic shape, added some kit parts, and done a little detailing on the front. Engine around the back, big hollow area that needs to be filled in. There'll be some sort of exhaust coming off the back of the engine, the legs gluing in there and there, so they'll help hide things. There'll be some big joints and so forth. Plenty of detail down there, and of course a massive jaw, which I'm looking forward to getting to grips with over the next few days. Bamf! Ah yes, real mech boys wear pink. So here we have the mech boy. He is based on a plastic knob, slightly repositioned plastic knob arm. He's actually one of those three-part Assault on Black Reach knobs, the ones with the one arm moulded on, but he's been messed around with quite a bit. Got a Mech Boy backpack that turned up in some of the bits from Mad Juzzy. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think he had a Mech Boy, but I'm not absolutely certain. Some of that stuff's still pretty unsorted. And here we have the mightiest of all possible weapons, which I shall now zoom in upon. Behold, this is the mighty Orcish Power Hammer. Well, I wanted him to look like a big mech, and I didn't really fancy building a spanner out of stuff. So, parts of a rocket launcher of some sort, tread plate from a Bane blade that turned up in the Mad Juzzy stuff. Don't know where he got it from. I thought, you know, if an orc's really dead hard, he's clearly ripped a couple of Bane blades to pieces and is using them to make his own tools. So, there's a well-hard mech. And some bits of tubing and so forth, just stuck on where his axe should be, to give him a proper mech looking weapon. Now the plan is that in his free hand, this one, he'll be holding the chains that are connected to the front of his mighty Robo Squig, and he will ride it gloriously across the battlefield and hit things with his very large hammer. And considering I'm going to be playing him, he's probably going to fail and die and be stomped upon and